Sarah from sarayub.com, Facebook The Numbers Queen, and Instagram sarayub1111. Doing December 2021 numerology and energy forecast. It's a bit of a late night tonight. That's what happens when you have many small children and one of them has just learned to crawl. So here I am, and thank you for joining me, whether it's live or in the replay. Very grateful for your support, energetically and otherwise. So, first thing is, if you enjoy this, definitely comment 555 so I know that you exist and I can say hello and reply to you. Let's talk about the numbers for now. So, we are in a 5 universal year in 2021, and December is a 17/8 month. So what does this combination mean? It's really interesting because you've got this open number with this completely closed number. So there's a lot of polarity right now, and I feel like that's really healthy. So this is a time to break karmic patterns, replenish yourself, and really stay true to your big picture goals. So basically, to the meaning of your life. At times like this, it's very easy to get distracted and disheartened. It's when we have to really reconnect with our core, and whatever it takes for you to do that, whether it's time in nature, meditation, talking to some trusted mentors, I encourage you to do it, because there's no time to waste. We've got a really incredible year actually in 2022 coming, which I'll be talking about in a forecast webinar fairly soon. So 2022 is that 6th universal year of opening the third eye, and I think you'll find a lot of people come out of the spiritual and emotional closet, and it could be actually quite a powerful and inspiring time, especially after a couple of years of basically utter chaos on the planet. So number 5, and this is the Paulina Tarot deck. Number 5 is the Hierophant. It's also known as the Pope. It's very much a spiritual teacher, a pivotal person. It's a lot about religion and convention. This is the energy that we're really reworking this year. Basically, what do we center our lives around, and who sets the bar, who sets the limits on our success and well-being. So I mentioned that December has this 17 energy. One of my very favorite cards in the tarot is highlighted this month. So it's the Star, and as a number 11 life path and someone who works with people globally who see 1111 and repeated numbers, I relate very strongly to being a star person or starseed. You can Google my articles on that if you're interested. So this star energy, she's incredibly potent. You see, she's got all these jugs, and she's pouring them out both into the sea and onto the land. So she's very careful to balance her giving and to balance her basically investment between feelings and logic. And this is definitely one of the invitations of December. Where do you need to come back into balance and reset yourself for that new year that's coming? So the 8 energy, it really highlights this karmic pattern chakra or karmic chakra, which, depending on what you believe, sits about here or actually a little bit higher. This is a little bit like a library portal. It holds our past life and family gifts, a lot of our challenges, our soul purpose and contracts. Lots of documentation. It's funny actually, because God has the same numerology as database and books. And really, that's why I teach spiritual literacy, that ability to read spirit signs, because without it, you can definitely feel very directionless and easily get hypnotized by other people. So if you are someone who's got a lot of fear, really long-term or lifelong fears or phobias, or even that hesitation around death and the afterlife, this would be a really interesting month to dig into that. For example, you could have a past life session, have a look at my interview I just uploaded with Tony Riley, one of my teachers for several years now. If you have really strong 17 or 8 numerology, for example, in your birthday, your life path, your name numbers, if you're aware of those more intermediate numerology factors, even if you just see 888, this is going to be a real turning point for you. And I've already had so many 8s come in, and it's only the 3rd day of the month. But I was expecting it, I guess, because that's kind of my job. eight's really this code for prosperity, especially in Asia. It's interesting, China has an 8 energy. It's an interesting, almost like a myth really, because a lot of people, they pay heaps of money to get, like number 8 houses or cars or whatever, or phone numbers. In fact, my business phone number has lots of 8s because my mom chose it when she worked at Telstra. And there's this idea that basically if you have 8s, basically you can't go wrong. But I don't see that as true. I really see 8 as basically inviting in a lot of divine intervention, a lot of divine judgment and accountability. So for me, I find if you do the right thing in terms of, you're really respectful and ethical, you basically sow what you reap. And so the 8 really can work in your favor. It's a lot like a magnification effect. But if you try to take a lot of shortcuts, or you try to be really stingy, I find it really does backfire. So I sometimes wish that some of the even cultural traditions would be updated. I wanted to talk a little bit about word magic. It's one of the things I'm really passionate about. So in numerology, your name, your business name, your address, words, they can be reduced to a number, and that shows you what basically chakras are activated, and lots of invisible links that can make life a lot more exciting and meaningful. Here are some of the words with an 8 energy. I thought you might be interested in this. So God, karma, success, faith, hope, eternity, commitment, medicine, naturopath, acupuncture, counselor, and happiness. So when they say happiness is the best medicine, that's numerology. Mommy. Oh, hang on, I've got a little person. Charlie, I'm still working. This is the joy of home business, hey? It's never boring. So this energy of 8, it's really about making long-term and sometimes quite unpopular decisions for the greater good, such as not opening the door for my incredibly cute son. So November last month, that really strong 11 energy, and also a 16/7 numerology, which was really, it's quite a shocking wake-up call type vibration. There's a lot of sudden actions. If you'll just excuse me, I'm going to have to take a quick break. Give me a sec. Hi, sweetie. I'm actually still working. You want to say hello, and then I'm going to put you back outside again. Here, you can help Mummy in the family business. Hey, cutie. So this is my beautiful son, Charlie. And when you were being born, the first thing I did was read your hand. And you have this beautiful big humanitarian cross, which means you're going to help lots of people. So this is one of my lovely children. Oh, look, they're all coming in. It really is going to be a festive forecast. Hey, Forrest. This is Forrest. This is the firstborn. Yeah, that's what happens when you try to get away with late night working, Mummy. That's what they're vibing me. Forrest is the baby. When I wanted to have a child with Chris, he appeared on the bed as a vision, and he actually pointed to this invisible watch and said, hurry up. And you still do that, don't you? You still say hurry up. It's kind of what he's doing right now by loitering around the table. Hurry up! Yeah, it was exactly like that, so I know it's the same spirit. If you just give me 1 sec, I'm going to just relocate.
Just hurry up.
That's pretty much your forecast right now, eh? Time is short.
Hurry up.
Your family needs you. I'll be back in a sec. Come on, sweetie. So, 8 energy, hey? It's all about keeping it real, and I think that was actually really good that you got to see what it's like. And I think that's actually one of the, if you could even say there was any benefit to the chaos of the last 2 years, is that people are finally allowing others behind the scenes of their life, potentially then allowing them to get the help they really need around their house, for their mental health, for their career, because it's all on show these days, isn't it? Now that everything's online. And I've always said, it'd be good actually if more children did appear in boardroom calls and things like that, because these are the souls we're fighting for, don't you think? Anyway, if you've got any comments, feel free to write and I will reply to you and have a look in a sec. So I was talking about how 8 energy is about making these sometimes unpopular decisions, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that right now in December. And at the same time, this is the joy of being a human. And as they say, you can be, animal, vegetable or mineral. And some people are trying pretty darn hard to be the latter two right now, amidst of this sort of political firestorm. But I like to remind my viewers, I guess, and my followers that, yeah, definitely not a vegetable or mineral. Last time I checked, you have free will and you can achieve so much. Remember, you grew yourself from an organism yay big to this size. Absolutely extraordinary. Okay, so here's some things to ponder in this hopefully short but sweet forecast for this month. Do you breathe evenly? Even when you look at the number 8, it looks like cycles and rhythms, even the distribution of blood and airflow and energy and lungs. And we really do, we breathe how we live. And a lot of people don't do much of either, and I really see that as such a shame. I mean, it's a huge effort to incarnate on this planet, and lots of spirits and people are involved in you being here, and they want you to be happy and successful. So this month, please remember to breathe. In fact, if you don't know how to do that, learn how to breathe. It's an incredible gift to yourself. A long exhale can be the difference between a fight and a new insight. That's what I like to say. So here's a little exercise you can try. So I'll just explain it before I do it. So basically, you breathe in for the count of 4. You hold for a count of 2. You breathe out for 4. You hold for 2. So it fits really nicely into a minute or 2. So it's really lovely to do this with a hand on your heart, especially skin to skin, and also a hand on your stomach. This is just a really lovely way to reassure yourself and just sort of have that really strong internal connection, especially when you are feeling anxious, especially if it's other people's anxiety. So let's try the exercise. So breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold, breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold, breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold. So even just 3 rounds of that, like I said, it could be the difference between walking out on something you've actually worked really hard to achieve just before the finish line, or actually getting the reward, getting the pleasure of completion. It would be so lovely if this was mandatory, to be honest. Deep and even breathing would make a huge difference to humanity. And it's interesting, of course, because if you do breathe like this, you actually will help others. Often they'll stop. They'll be like, what's she doing? What's this breathing thing? And you actually do. You become the leader of energy in that room. And I've always said, like, the leader anywhere is always the person who is most centered and most calm, no matter what their age or their size of qualification. So that's a way that you can create some really big ripples this month. And circulation in general, it really is the secret to health and abundance. The old way of being on this planet, it very much scares us into believing there's one God, one job we have to stay with, one partner, one path to heaven, and don't you dare fall off it or break the molds. But the 1111 way, which you may be familiar with if you follow my work, you see repeated numbers. It's really inviting us to explore a multiverse. So this is where we have many guides, multiple sources of income, we have groups of soulmates, and basically every path potentially leads to self-realization. So it's very forgiving, it's very compassionate, it's very spacious. And this is the energy or frequency that I work with in my videos, in my courses, in my readings. If you want to get to know it, feel free to just check out my site, sariyip.com. As of yesterday, actually, it's been fully updated, which I'm very grateful for. Some really amazing people have come together to make that possible. So the question is, like I was just outlining, are you reinforcing the old way, this very constricted, corseted way of being, or are you allowing yourself to go wild again? Because that's definitely the way of the future. As you can probably sense, it's starting to become a little bit of a free-for-all, and it's the people who are still really in touch with their untamed creativity who will be able to make the most of the opportunities that are presenting themselves very quickly. So a couple more things before I wind up for tonight. 8 energy, it's very professional, it's very upfront, it's actually quite austere. So there's a lot of people, including people I know, who are voluntarily and involuntarily needing to leave their careers now, to retrain, to start businesses, even things like semi-retirement. Now 8 energy, it is the comeback king or queen. In fact, queen has a strong 8 energy. So my suggestion is, the internet has a very long memory, and so do people. So please stay gracious with your ex teams. Even if you do find the other person or people are being petty or snipey, I just can only recommend be true to yourself and be as kind as you can be, because one day your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren may be reading the words that you flip across to these people, and you deserve good new beginnings wherever you have to go next. Also, I guess when I was tuning in, because some of you may know that for a living I actually do forecasts. So I work with my clients and I do 12-month forecasts and that kind of thing. I also do forecasts for Yahoo and that, celebrities and stuff. I personally believe a lot of the doors that are closed now or closing now will reopen over the next few years. So I'd say between 2022 and 2025, which is the end of the global cycle. And I wanted to close up actually with a true story from my own life. So I used to work in fundraising, and I worked very hard, as most of us did, because it was a startup. And I often wondered if I actually did quite a bit of extra work over and above perhaps what was good for me and my health. And eventually I left for quite a few reasons, including to start this business, which is how you're meeting me. And I left on pretty good terms. I left on a high. On the way out, I trained someone up. So they got someone in, and I remember very distinctly I introduced her to like 60 of my clients. So a week after I left, she quit. She basically said it's too hard and it's too much for one person. And for me, that was actually really validating. I secretly kind of knew that was happening. It was kind of nice to actually get that feedback, as awkward as it was for the company. And so I was invited to come back and obviously help them out while they retrain some more people. And I had this kind of light bulb moment, and I'm hoping that by sharing this, it will help some of you, maybe in a similar situation. I realized that I was kind of raised in a culture and energy where I always had to kind of reduce myself, reduce my dreams, cut myself down to size. And even just, I was always told, don't make such a big deal, don't make such a big deal of everything. So of course, when I'm offered this incredible opportunity to come back, I didn't make a big deal. So I caught myself just before I opened my mouth, and I called someone who I'm still very grateful to, and I called the highest paid consultant in the business. And he was very gracious. He actually helped me out, and I said, what would you do in my position? And he said, I would double my salary. And so I did that. I went back and I said, I will come back if you double my rates, and they were in quite a sticky situation, so they did. And it was one of the best, I think it was maybe 6 weeks of my career, because I got to do the same job but for way more pay, with a lot of like joy, because I was actually getting to then pay for the start of this new business, which I was really passionate about. And I feel like there was a lot of transformation in that time, from even just people seeing me, and kind of what I was really worth. And I like to think that that made a difference in that company, which has gone on to still be very successful. So they ended up replacing me with 2 to 3 people, as far as I'm aware. And all I can say is I hope that by sharing this story, it will give you some hope if you're in a similar situation. I can't say it'll be exactly the same. What I'm saying is hold your head up high, and you may be surprised, because it's often the people who are very much the leaders and the pioneers and the visionaries who are the first to go when circumstances demand it. And at the same time, often they're the first to be called back when there's a crisis. So stay centered. Okay, well, apart from that, let's talk about some key dates for December. So in the next day, so the 4th of December, we have a massive energy portal. We have the new moon, but also a solar eclipse. So you can look that up if you like. Eclipse in numerology has the same vibration as wake up call, 33 energy. So this is a time when we're very much in the darkest of the dark. And at the same time, there's this kind of very deep hope returning. And for me, that's kind of this reset that's coming in 2022. If you notice all the 2s in that year, 2 is a lot about partnerships and helping each other instead of constantly being competitive. And that's one of the reasons I'm really looking forwards to next year. I'm also a 11-2 life path, so I'm biased. So I've got a lot of this very strong, potent new beginnings energy coming in the next day. On the 18th and 19th of December, we have the full moon. And this is a bit of a whammy, because on the 19th, Chiron also goes direct, and we have Venus retrograde. Now, I'm not an astrologer, but you're welcome to look those things up. What I can say is it'll have a lot of impact in our relationships, and we may feel like we can go from doing a lot of internal clearing and detoxing to actually being able to also clear the decks externally. So a lot of cleansing and releasing and resetting energy, and for me, I always see that as something to look forwards to. Then of course we have Christmas, and all I can say is, yeah, it's an unusual time, isn't it? In the world, there's been so much ups and downs, and I can't really gloss over that even in a short forecast like this. But I work with people every day, and all I can say is every person who's come in has inspired me. So if you do find yourself unable to find that spark, sometimes just sharing your story with one person, or listening to one person share their story, especially of huge things they've overcome in their life, it can be enough to get you back up again. So we'll start to wind this podcast up. As I mentioned, 8 is the comeback king or queen, and that is what this month is about. If you're feeling like you need a little bit extra oomph, I do readings. I also have a number of video classes recorded. For example, Change for Good, which is all about the spiritual power of money, especially if you see 1111. I also have a study group for people who see repeating numbers. We actually had a call today on 8 energy. Our next call on 9 energy also includes an event on the Gold Coast. That's on the 18th. So you're welcome to join all those things if you are interested. Just have a look at my bio or at seriup.com. So just have a quick look at comments before I go. And again, thank you so much for joining me. It's not often I do such a late call, but the times are changing and we need to change with them. So here we are. Let's have a quick look. Thank you everyone who said hello. Got quite a few 8s who've just instinctively jumped on the call, which I just love. And people seem to enjoy the random children appearances. So I can't say I'll schedule them in again, but I'm sure they will turn up because they're very connected kitties. So thank you so much for supporting my page and caring about this work. I really appreciate you. I hope that you are surrounded by people who also appreciate you, because you're a special person. Just remember, this is a card of the star, and if you're watching this, no doubt you have some very strong star energy, and you've come to the planet to bring more light, more futuristic ideas, and just a lot more kindness. So this is Sarah from Seriup.com, Facebook The Numbers Queen, and Seriup1111 at Instagram, signing off. That's my 1111 peace signs. So take care, everyone. Have a really peaceful and harmonious December as much as you can, and remember, gracious exits. Okay, see you next time. Bye bye.